Florida is home to some of the best theme parks in the world. You have all the industry giants all together in Disney, Universal, and SeaWorld. While the parks are often most praised for their immersive lands and attention to detail, they are also home to some fantastic roller coasters. In this video, I will count down the top 25 roller coasters that I have personally ridden in Florida. Before starting this list, I want to note that this list was created before Busch Gardens Tampa opens Iron Gwazi and SeaWorld Orlando opens Icebreaker. It is likely both rides would have made it onto this list had I ridden them, and based on RMC's track record, I suspect Iron Gwazi will one day top this list. But I will not get to ride those in 2020 as it looks like they'll open in 2021 now. I also have not been to Busch Gardens Tampa since Tigris opened, but based on the other Skyrocket 2 models, I suspect it would have placed towards the middle of this list. So with that, let's start this list off with number 25 in Hurricane at Fun Spot Kissimmee. This recently relocated roller coaster is one of the few full-size roller coasters Myler ever created, and it has some really funky profiling. Most turns in this ride are of the hairpin variety, so they deliver wicked laterals akin to a wild mouse. And the coaster also has some solid airtime scattered throughout the course. The only downside with this coaster is that it's a bit rough, most notably on the high speed low to the ground turn after the second drop. Number 24, Scorpion at Busch Gardens Tampa. This classic Schwarzkopf coaster still rides incredibly smoothly even after all these years. This compact looper has some solid helixes and an incredibly forceful loop, allowing it to hold its own in Busch Gardens Tampa's deep roller coaster lineup. 23. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train at Magic Kingdom. This first highly themed coaster on this list, this Vekoma family coaster is unique for its tilting trains. The tilt is subtle, but it definitely adds to the experience. And towards the back, you get some yank on a few of the turns, as well as on the big drop. But the star here for me is the dark ride segment halfway through the ride. It's a neat homage to the old Snow White dark ride that the coaster replaced. 22. Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios. The most intense roller coaster at Walt Disney World is the Rock and Roller Coaster, the launched indoor Vekoma coaster. Themed to Aerosmith, Rock and Roller Coaster starts with a thrilling launch before inverting riders 3 times in almost total darkness. Now, I love the launch and inversions in this ride, but the rest of the ride sort of falls flat. You do a lot of meandering, and the theming is pretty sparse during the ride. 21. Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts at Universal Studios Florida. This attraction is really more of a dark ride, but it does have some roller coaster elements. I don't want to spoil which ones are included for anyone who hasn't ridden them, but I will say this, the roller coaster elements are executed quite well when they're done, and they do provide sneaky thrills. As for the dark ride sequences, they're fantastic. This screen-based ride has perfect 3D, top-notch acting, and a great storyline. Number 20. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad at Magic Kingdom. One of the best mine train coasters in the world, Big Thunder Mountain delivers a long ride around that picturesque mountain. Make sure to ride this in the back though, because you get a far wilder ride back there. In the back, you get some nice pops of airtime, plus good laterals in the helixes. Number 19. Slinky Dog Dash at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Let me begin by saying Slinky Dog is my favorite Toy Story character, so it was an absolute dream of mine to see the springy wiener dog get his very own roller coaster. And for that reason, I might be a bit biased towards this ride. Slinky Dog Dash isn't intense, but it's one of those coasters that I always come off with a smile on my face. The coaster is glass smooth with a few tiny bits of airtime, and the theming alongside the course is really what makes this ride stand out for me. The second launch sequence in particular stands out because of how theatrical it is, with the flashing lights, signage, and spinning parts. Number 18. Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom. One of the most expensive roller coasters in the world, Expedition Everest is a really unique attraction. The coaster has a really intense backward segment. I always start to gray out in that helix, and that's not something you expect to happen at a Disney park. And what follows is an impressive drop to kick off the second half. But what really makes this coaster is the theming. Disney outdid themselves with the appearance of the ride's mountain and that Yeti animatronic, even if it doesn't move anymore. Number 17, Kraken at SeaWorld Orlando. I was torn where to place Kraken on this list. This coaster is prone to giving rattly rides if you ride it with empty trains. If you get a rattly ride in Kraken, it probably would be below some of these Disney coasters. If you get a smooth ride in Kraken, it would have the potential to be higher because I love this coaster's layout. So I took a rough average of where it would go. Kraken should be one of the best floorless coasters. You have the typical first half with the giant inversions, but what stands out for me is the second half with the additional inversions and trench dives. Number 16, Journey to Atlantis at SeaWorld Orlando. This mock water coaster is yet another attraction that some may not consider a roller coaster, but it has a fantastic main drop and a second coaster segment towards the end. But the reason I place this coaster so highly is the themed dark ride segment. The story is a bit hard to follow, but the set pieces are beautiful. Journey to Atlantis would be one of my favorite log flumes if you classify it as that, but as a coaster it still can stand its own because of the theming and thrill combination. Number 15, White Lightning at Fun Spot Orlando. This GCI out and back coaster is a fast-paced ride filled with quick pops of airtime. I have noticed it starting to develop a bit of a shake in my most recent rides, but it's still a highly enjoyable wooden coaster in a state dominated by steel coasters. Number 14, Sheikra at Busch Gardens Tampa. This giant B&M dive machine is definitely one of the better dive coasters out there. The main drop is fantastic. It delivers sustained floater airtime in droves. But you also have another great drop off the mid-course and some great landscaping around the coaster to enhance the experience. Number 13, Revenge of the Mummy at Universal Studios Florida. This indoor Premier Rides launch coaster is one of the best themed roller coasters in the world. The coaster begins with an elaborate dark ride section before transitioning into the thrilling coaster segment. And you have some theming that continues through that course. Revenge of the Mummy has some solid launches and decent pops of airtime. These thrills combined with the theming make it a winner in my books. Number 12, the Incredible Hulk Coaster at Islands of Adventure. The iconic B&M sit-down looper has one of the best first halves of any coaster. The launch is deceptively powerful, and it's also extremely well presented with the sound and lighting effects. That launch is followed by an insanely whippy 0G roll and a positive G assault with the Cobra roll and vertical loops. I just wish this coaster had a better second half because the coaster dies after the mid-course. With a strong second half, the Hulk would have placed far higher in this list. Number 11, Kumba at Busch Gardens Tampa. One of B&M's earliest roller coasters is still one of their most intense. Kumba is a positive G-force machine. Every single inversion on this coaster is incredibly whippy, and I found myself starting to gray out at several points along the course. You may be wondering why this coaster isn't any higher, but I did find it to be a bit uncomfortable, unlike the coasters above it on this list. As a whole, Kumba is a pretty smooth ride, but you might hit your head once or twice, and the G's can get a bit uncomfortable. Number 10, Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit at Universal Studios Florida. The much maligned Mauer Sohn coaster is actually a guilty pleasure ride of mine. I genuinely like the Rockit. The onboard audio really amps me up, and the layout is often criticized for the multitude of brake runs. But I honestly don't mind. Every single entrance and exit to one of those brake runs delivers a strong pop of airtime, so they work out in the favor of the rider. But beyond that, you have some weird forces, like the sustained floater airtime on the non-inverting loop, and the bizarrely forceful helixes. Number 9, Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens Tampa. This intimate launch coaster takes riders on a journey through the jungle. The coaster has a few dead spots, namely the top of the Windcatcher Tower and the far turnaround section, but the outward and return leg have some solid airtime moments and a good sense of speed. Plus, the launches aren't too shabby either, and the lone inversion is a nice addition. Number 8, Space Mountain at the Magic Kingdom. The original Space Mountain is the best version in my opinion. This is the only Space Mountain to focus on drops. and those drops give some fantastic airtime in the back car. Plus, you have some tight turns and terrifying head choppers. The ride isn't glass smooth, but the trains are padded like couches, so I find it very comfortable. Number 7, Dragon Challenge, specifically the Chinese Fireball side, at Islands of Adventure. The red side was an excellent invert. The Immelmans were super forceful, and the vertical loop and corkscrews were extremely whippy. Plus, the bizarre Camelback delivered some nice floater airtime you don't really get in any other invert. This coaster was still glass smooth and thrilling even on its last day. Rest in peace, Dragons. Rest in peace. Number 6, Dragon Challenge Hungarian Horntail at Islands of Adventure. I actually had a slight preference for the blue side, and I know that's an unpopular opinion. I think the red side had better pacing, but I thought the individual elements in the blue side were superior. That zero G roll in particular stood out for me how whippy it was, and I think it's a crime if an invert doesn't have a zero G roll. Number 5, Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. The lone flying coaster in Florida is one of the best of the genre. This coaster is extremely well landscaped, and most of the ride is a graceful flight over pathways, ponds, and rockwork. But the ride begins with an intense first drop and a wicked pretzel loop. The G's in the pretzel loop are incredible, and it's probably the single most intense element on any coaster in Florida. Number 4, Mindblower at Fun Spot Kissimmee. This Gravity Group wooden coaster is super compact, but it delivers a wild, fast-paced ride. Mindblower has one of the best starts to any coaster with the ejector airtime filled first drop and the hang time filled zero G roll. You are pulled through that roll. After that, Mindblower is a blitz of rapid airtime hills. This coaster feels way faster than its posted speed, and it's a rush from start to finish. Now, it does have a bit of a shuffle to it, but I'm willing to look past it because of how intense and fast-paced this ride is. Number 3, Montu at Busch Gardens, Tampa. One of the best inverts in the world, Montu combines solid theming with incredibly forceful inversions. Outside of the Immelman, every single inversion is extremely snappy and delivers leg-numbing forces. And the highlight, without a doubt, is the rare Batwing. The whip down into the trench is unbelievable, especially in the back car. Number 2, Mako at SeaWorld Orlando. B&M hypercoasters excel at sustained floater airtime, and Mako goes above and beyond in that department. The first half has some of the best sustained flojector airtime of any coaster. By comparison, the second half is a bit of a letdown. It's still decent with the bunny hill and lateral heavy turns above the midway, but I still would have preferred a continuation of the airtime assault of the first half. That being said, my preference for airtime-based rides is why Mako places so highly on this list. But number 1 is Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure at Islands of Adventure. Now, I sort of hate myself for liking this coaster more than Dueling Dragons, and you're probably shocked to see this coaster ranked so highly, but it's quite simply one of the most fun roller coasters in the world. The coaster is exciting from start to finish. You're either looking at a highly themed show scene or zipping through the forest. The motorbike seating makes the ride as the higher center of gravity accentuates the turns. This coaster has 7 launches, and I was stunned just how forceful several of them are, most notably that final one. And the surprise elements throughout are highlights as well. Hagrid's is the complete package, which is why it tops this list above all the other major coasters in Florida. So those are my top 25 roller coasters in the state of Florida. With Disney, Universal, Busch Gardens, and SeaWorld all slated to open new roller coasters in the coming years, it's an exciting time to be a thrill seeker in the Orlando area. I have no doubt this list will change once those attractions open, but these are my favorites as of mid-2020. What are your thoughts on this list or any of the coasters in Florida? I would love to hear your comments down below. If you enjoyed this countdown, I'd appreciate if you gave this video a like and considered subscribing, because we'll have more roller coaster and amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for listening.